My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Notice: intellectual property theft is particularly egregious and equally unlawful where the sole inventor and creator of the intellectual property is the targeted individual. Erica Lorraine Spencer, subject to the unconstitutional and inhumane government system of gang stalking, otherwise referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices, because of which the intellectual property created by the targeted individual, who is, in fact, Erica Lorraine Spencer, as the intellectual property also proves, serves to establish via evidence and expose the existence of criminal surveillance and thus an inherent threat posed by the U.S. government and the civilian population sharing engagement in the unlawful system. Such evidence that includes all of the content created by Erica Lorraine Spencer, images, videos, audio, etc., belongs solely and entirely to Erica Lorraine Spencer only and is necessarily published online in order to protect her life, safety, and liberty as the targeted individual, who is also the intellectual property owner, no less protected from theft procured through targeting by a public entity. Theft of any intellectual property belonging to Erica Lorraine Spencer, which is necessarily committed while she, being both creator and inventor, remains oppressed by the public entity via criminal surveillance, is a criminal and inhumane means of infringement under all circumstances and not protected nor enforceable pursuant to any invalid or fraudulent acts of copyright, trademarks, patents, etc., including as it pertains to any ideas associated with or generated from the intellectual property or the intellectual property owner, Erica Lorraine Spencer, whether creative, business, or otherwise, nor does the intellectual property owner consent to any such means of infringement and theft. Erica Lorraine Spencer here. The following is an audio version of video evidence that is captured for purposes of mass distribution, which is why I am capturing it and sharing it on the podcast for evidentiary purposes and also to reveal the wealth of documentation that extends beyond what it is that I document on podcasts. Much of the video and images will be published onto the YouTube channel, the P.O.C, and it is also shared on the Google Drive. Again, this is for purposes of revealing what I remain subject to, which is federal group stalking and monitoring. It is a demonic system of state surveillance that the government is practicing in concert with the people of the state, and it should be known and well understood that for the government to engage in federal group stalking and monitoring, this is a crime that is committed with a criminal purpose to threaten the life of an American citizen. This is to conspire to murder and or permanently kidnap an American citizen while engaging in a perpetual sex offense in concert with the people of the state. All right, just to show the demons that engage in what is stalking. This is an iteration of what is lying in wait. Pepe's towing, which has been documented, engaged in prolonged surveillance, and Pepe's understand when you're documenting demonic activity, this is Satan that's operating through a company name, a demon that operates the vehicle, and so you're going to prosecute that company that's engaged in terrorism. License 06896 Victor 3 is engaged in and is improperly parked in the parking lot with regard to where I am typically located using the Wi-Fi, where the entity is aiming the fake sun, the engineer light. Pepe's is there with regard to activity creation. And this is an iteration of lying in wait conduct. With regard to what I do, the demon arrives to use the vehicle as a means of stalking with noise and presence and light activity. And the entity is doing that with knowledge that they've been documented. They're in Stater Brothers gang stalking, engaged in vagina monitoring in particular. And they're also engaging, another iteration of that is, for example, Stater Brothers leaving shopping carts around the location where they know that I'm at. Then the demons arrive to pick up the shopping carts. This is what you saw, Lupe and they're all demon possessed. They're all mentally ill psychopaths, and Satan engages in the same P.O.C. It's an iteration where the entity is targeting you. It's a method of lying in wait conduct. I'm going to keep the setup there, and then with regard to using that as a means of activity creation, it's all stalking. Okay, P.O.C. I'm going to prosecute that. This is prosecution. This is the entity doing so. This is indeed the sky space. And this is what the same company that's been engaged in gang stalking. After I documented them engaging in surveillance here, they were gang stalking at the Vos Church, the intersection of Euclid Avenue and C Street. I documented that at nightfall. This is literally a company that's engaging in that demonic behavior, the personification of Satan, as you engage in exposing, that is discerning the demons. And with regard to what I'm doing, prosecuting an entity that is engaged in gang stalking, that company, those third parties, that venue will engage in methods of harassment. Okay, that's P.O.C. License 06896 Victor 3. I don't think there's any difference with regard to the parking policy, regardless of the vehicle that you're driving. They're monitoring. It's P.O.C. Pepe's is targeting. I'm going to target them in federal court. California 117433. I'm going to target them in court like they're targeting me. This is indeed P.O.C. It is 7:13 a.m. This is P.O.C. stalking by the Ontario International Airport that has gone beyond the Stater Brothers Plaza, and they are doing so while the entity is keeping the fake sun over me. They're doing this while I am on Euclid Avenue. They're doing so at 6th Street in Euclid, and they're doing so while I am currently at what is 221 Fern Avenue right here. You can see my shadow reaching across the street. This is the light activity, and it's also the indication that the people of the state are gang stalking you. All right, the government is stalking in that incredible manner, that extreme and expensive manner, with regard to what the city is engaging in, and the gang stalking mayor, by virtue of the fake sun, and stalking by the government utilizing for criminal purposes an airport. That's engaged in all manner of asininity with the commercial planes. Stalking, hovering over the housing complex. This is the entity that's engaged in what is stalking you in the path. Alrighty, that's what the P.O.C. It's currently, by the way, 7:28 a.m. and you're recalling what Vaughn's is doing in Upland, California, while I'm looking at this fake sun in perfect alignment with me while I'm walking down this back street. It's called stalking with light. The demon possessed are engaged in that, and it's speaking to what is surveillance by a people. All right. And those people also are engaged in what are strategically abusing positions in government to maintain that criminal surveillance system, including by kidnapping and murdering the targeted individual. This is P.O.C. It is currently 7:28 a.m. Why are you showing up out of nowhere asking if I want something to eat? Do I call you and ask you for anything?
No.
Do you have my phone number?
No.
Have I called you?
No.
Did Eric tell you how the encounter went the other day?
No.
Oh, he didn't?
No.
So you guys just show up where I'm at? Are you psychic?
Nope.
Why are you here?
Trying to see if you want something to eat, go to the bathroom.
We went to get something to eat a couple months ago.
Yeah, that was weeks ago.
So what can I help you with now?
I was just trying to help. Did you call?
No, you did not. That's not trying to help. So you say what you really want. I'm not into playing.
Did you call Denise to get the money?
Did you hear that I called her?
I didn't ask her.
Are you coming to ask me questions you already know the answer to?
No, I don't know the answer. I'm not psychic.
You didn't talk to Denise?
No, I have not. I gave you the
Okay.
number to talk to her.
So why are you here now? To talk about Denise or to talk about food?
Both.
Okay, well, I'm not soliciting you guys' presence.
Okay.
And you already knew that, so you insist on following me or however you're finding me, since you're not psychic. But I'm not interested in getting any food. I don't need you to get food.
Okay.
I don't need that.
Okay.
How many times do I need to say that?
Okay. Thank you, though. Thank you.
Thank you for what?
Thank you for letting me know.
I let you know that before.
That's okay. Sometimes people change.
No, people clearly have not changed.
Okay. All right.
I stay the same.
I hear you. I hear you.
Mm-hmm.
All right? I won't come back.
Take care. Goodbye. It's 2:09 p.m.
If you need anything, you got my number, right?
Why would I call you?
To help.
You're not helping. You're hurting right now.
Huh.
This is not helping.
Huh.
So why would I call you?
If we offer you a hot meal,
That's not, I was eating hot meals in your house where you were not helping me.
Eric.
So I'm not going to sit here and no, yes, it is true, and I'm not going to entertain the nonsense. If you're not even genuine when you're approaching me, there is no more time in life for that. Okay?
Is that
So,
the way you feel?
no, that's how the reality is. That's what you decided. You chose that. And don't forget it. Take care of yourselves. Both of you take care of yourselves. Bye.
Okay.
Goodbye. Stop showing up unannounced.
Okay.
Stop bothering me. That's a threat. In case you did not know that, it's a threat to my, yeah, and I have a right to not be threatened by you anymore.
Oh, okay.
That's why you don't have my phone number. That's why I don't call you.
No problem.
Thank you.
I wish you the best.
I'm sure you do. You take care. I do wish you the best, though. I really do. You've got some decisions that you've made, and they're going to come to fruition. And I wish you well. I wish both of y'all the best. Take care. It's 2:10 p.m. It's Sunday, March 8, 2026. That's Tracy Banks and Eric Spencer again showing up where I'm at. And I will show you the fake sun where they are engaged in targeting. They know exactly where I'm at. This is a fake family stalking you, and that is a threat under the law. Okay, this is P.O.C. And again, these are not circumstances that I created. This is Tracy and Eric targeted me and plotted my murder. And since that's not going to plan, now there is an ongoing campaign regarding showing up everywhere when we're not communicating, and you're gang stalking me with the city of Ontario. You're gang stalking me with the state. And so showing up and offering me food. Take a look at the record when Tracy Banks is taking me to get food from the OVITT Family Community Library, and I'm subject to an ambush by the city of Ontario, engaging in psychopathic pacing over me as I walk outside of the library by helicopter. And she is engaged. You're going to analyze when the entity's gang stalking. That's what you're going to analyze with regard to committing, with regard to federal prison, with regard to the malice behind a government targeting you in concert with your fake friends and family. That's relevant to psychological torture while Tracy Banks is coming to pick me up after arriving, dropping in at the OVITT Family Community Library that is gang stalking me with Tracy Banks and Eric Spencer, maintaining what is the discriminatory means to exclude me from the venue while they're gang stalking. And that's why I'm subject to such ambush conduct by the city of Ontario. This is the same venue under the fake sun at 2:11 p.m. The same fake sun that C. Gerber is under, handing me this discriminatory means of excluding me upon malicious assertions, which is an admission in court. That legally, it's and with regard to the facts, they are admitting that they're engaged in surveillance while these unintelligent demons engage in desperate means of trying to target me and slow down that which they cannot slow down, which is justice. But I just want to be clear, Eric Spencer and Tracy Banks are targeting, you're analyzing that. It's not on the surface, do you want to go get something to eat? That's audible activity. Under the fake sun, in the engineered light, with the city of Ontario that is stalking me by an airport, by the fire, police, and ambulance, and they like to use the most incredible means, the most frightening, terrorizing tool is a helicopter, which is also an overly used and expired, played out method, but it's heavily documented because those gang members are going to prison. That is the entity that's engaging in that. It is under no circumstances welcome. It is under the law, conspicuous surveillance, and this is the federal law that's going to be applied with regard to domestic terrorism, where the U.S. government is targeting you through those whom you know. It is underscoring what is malice. Okay, so this is disingenuous. When I was at Tracy Banks' apartment at Woodside Senior Apartments, the record reflects that this third party who had an opportunity to repent from targeting me while I was in her presence, watching her gang stalk me with the Ontario police, while she's engaged in all the facts that you're aware of. So this is somebody that's playing as a mother, okay, but playing very poorly. But she's playing in the role of a relative. And so you're also engaged in surveilling the documentation. You know that I'm aware that you're engaging in the unthinkable against me as a relative who did not want to have to engage in the unthinkable, which is prosecuting you. I didn't choose her and him to go to prison. They chose it. They thought I was going to be 6 feet under, and it will not be me. And that's what you're listening to. That's the government that is maliciously targeting and conspicuously surveilling and doing so with impunity. You're going to prosecute in the exact same manner. Okay, this is P.O.C. It is 14:14. It's 2:14 p.m. It's Sunday, March 8, 2026, and Eric is again engaging what is targeting me at the
in the city of Ontario, doing so with Tracy Banks, coming around and asking me, do I want to get something to eat so they could put arsenic in my food? And that is, again, the entity that is, what am I speaking to with that? First of all, literally, and I'm also being facetious because you cannot trust someone that's gang stalking, and that's not a matter of a controversy. It's already proven that Tracy Banks, Eric Spencer, everyone that I know that have maintained an ongoing defamatory campaign, Tracy Banks that's engaged in a prolonged sexual relationship with people that were acting like they were my friends, lying about being married to me on paper. I'm referring to her husband, Jason Isaac Fields, the thing that she has lied about while she was defaming my character, and then on the other hand, like someone who was severely mentally ill with multiple personalities, like nothing happened. Approaching me like you're just free to do that, like I'm gonna jump up and give you a hug, like I'm gonna be excited. All right, this is a violation of my right by the government that acts vicariously through the people. All right, this is the entity that has chosen their side. Okay, now this is no longer even personal. This is about establishing precedent, creating what is federal authority in these United States, because American citizens like myself who are already 6 feet under, they're sitting around kidnapped right now. They're being targeted right now and have no idea what to do about it. Can't prove it. Wondering whether or not they're losing their mind, and they're not. They're being gang stalked by demons, whom they are also blood related to. Based on that, it's no longer even about Tracy Banks and Eric Spencer, and justice is not going to slow down or stop because of them. To the contrary, justice will be had because of the ways in which they've engaged in targeting, which is serving as a template to provide justice to American citizens in this country. Okay, this is the pattern of conduct. It is currently, like I stated, 2:15 p.m. This is somebody that wants to try to associate with me, try to create some sort of tie to me, wants to, while she is lying. Still, Tracy Banks is still lying about my character. She's still, whoever is listening to her, those are demons as well. It doesn't matter. They're all mentally ill. Anybody that would listen to Tracy Banks is a demon as well. They're gang stalking me as well. She doesn't have people that are innocently ignorant and just listening to her gossip about her relative and not asking any common sense questions and just believing it, just jumping off the cliff. Those are demons. They're all demons. And anybody sitting around listening to her lying about me, while I have been 100% authentic my entire life, are a part of the problem. Now she's coming around uninvited. Remember what she did May 29, 2026 with the Ontario Police Department, lying about being physically attacked in her apartment. And why? Because I am embarrassing the documentation, which is a debacle regarding what she thought was going to be a slam dunk sacrifice. And it's nothing. It's nothing like that. And this is the entity that engaged in criminal defamation, kidnapping as an entity, abuse of the Welfare and Institutions Code, which that department, that agency has no authority under while they're engaged in federal stalking. Everybody in that video documentation on May 29th is going to federal prison. Now you're engaging in that and then you're arriving. No one forgot. No one's forgotten. No one has forgotten. And no federal case will ever include forgotten evidence. That's absurd. And this is what I mean with regard to what I'm dealing with. The people of the state are gang stalking me. They don't even know my name, but they know the details pertaining to my vagina. Tracy Banks is directly engaged in that ongoing perpetual sex offense. Speaking to me and approaching me and arriving out of nowhere, just as disconcerting as the Ontario Police Department, is Tracy Banks and Eric Corey Spencer, not different. Demons that are pacing around me, monitoring in furtherance of murder, it's the same exact entity. It's the P.O.C. All right, this is the government that thinks that they can cloak themselves in what is a personal relationship with you. That's that vicarious conduct. The state is your mother, your father, your brother, your sister, your husband, your boyfriend. It's the state. And that's how the state is able to get close enough to put that dagger in your stomach and twist it. And for that malicious system, the government is being federally prosecuted. And those gang members are going to prison. Okay, everyone knows the geniuses that are the Ontario Police Department. They're being disbanded and they're going to federal prison. Alrighty, this is P.O.C. They're currently engaged in criminal summoning under the fake sun that's over the same exact walkway where the demons of the Ontario City Hall, the demons of the OVITT Family Community Library, the entity that's engaging in that pattern of conduct while they are unintelligent, lacking in self-control, engaging in what is ongoing self-destructive behaviors because they're merely hostile. The demon-possessed are engaging in criminal conduct for which they are already prosecuted in my courtroom, which is on the venue of the internet. And they're also federally prosecuted where there will be no controversy within the four walls of a federal tribunal. And they engage in foolish things such as criminal summoning under a fake sun that is scheduled here. 7 in the morning, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Every hour of the day, the fake sun is right here where I sit right now. That's what's sounding sirens. This is P.O.C. It's currently 2:19 p.m. That's an unlawful threat posed by the state while Tracy Banks is approaching. The entity that is engaged in that ongoing conduct, that level of just blatant disregard, denial, as though the target individual doesn't have any rights, as though you're going to just stalk me in my face. I tell a stalker to stay away from me, and that stalker persists, because that is the entity via Tracy Banks and Eric Spencer. Never, not once, when I'm kidnapped, are they the ones that are stating, oh, no. In fact, to the contrary, Tracy Banks is the one engaging in criminal summoning to commit kidnapping with that agency. That's who Tracy Banks is. And that's why you document. That's evidence that is sitting on the record, and she is targeting, that agency is targeting while she and Eric Spencer approach. You cannot undo, and you will never unsee, and no federal court, no federal judge, and federal law shall not disregard that you, in the position that you hold with regard to an American citizen that is being targeted by the U.S. government, have abused that position, utilized it in order to conspire the murder of that close relative, of that friend, of that colleague of yours, because that's the role that Eric Spencer and Tracy Banks have played. And they have done so with regard to whether they ever come to Christ Jesus and repent for that which the Lord God knows that they've done. And the reason why the Lord God knows that they've done it, because he told me about it, and that's how I was able to prosecute, basically with my eyes closed, because it's something that I was never supposed to know. And they thought, the state thought, that they could defame you when they're engaging in what is satanic behaviors. And to their surprise, they will be committed for their demonic behaviors, and they will be absolutely federally prosecuted with tangible evidence. Tangible evidence which even establishes that they're demon possessed. Imagine that. Now that's a so-called return to sender. This is the entity that's engaging in that. So I am sitting on the side of the library, dozing off, okay, and then I wake up with Tracy Banks in my face, and that's the state. That's the state. Everything that Tracy Banks has engaged in, all the threats that she's uttered, this is what you're analyzing under the law. Okay, these are demons that are woefully unprepared for how they're going to be federally prosecuted. Actual legal analysis, actual facts that are being analyzed with regard to what is prosecuting you. You are not free to engage in that. And not only that, there's no illusion. What you are, what your intentions are, what the plot is, what the plot remains while you are in my presence. And while you're engaging what is surveilling me on the internet and you persist in doing that, all of that's relevant to what are federal repercussions. And I did not vote for that. You did. When I was in your presence, when you thought that you were putting on a grandiose Truman show on the internet and everybody watching you take out your relative, all those demons that you befriend. And you're experiencing the real life plot twist in HD. When I asked you and I stated to you, this is not going to work, please stop now, and you decided to continue, that was your decision. For everything that's going to happen with regard to a federal prosecution, everything that's going to happen with regard to those that are tied into this criminal pattern of conduct, which is going beyond the United States. It's international. You chose it. And that's what you're listening to me tell Eric Spencer and Tracy Banks, who are under no circumstances ever going to overtly admit what it is that they've done and how filthy their hands are. But that's okay. They don't have to, because I've done the handiwork regarding prosecuting with evidence. All right, this is P.O.C. It's currently 2:22 p.m., where, as you can see, the video evidence of the Ontario International Airport being an unprecedented corrupt actor. This is establishing an airport that is a city as a stalker. The government, the city, a municipality, an airport is stalking you because it has conspired your murder. And this is where the third parties such as Edgar are stalking in the past in that engineer light under that fake sun. You could just exchange Eric Spencer, Tracy Banks with Edgar. Edgar is a gang stalking third party transient who is focused on gang stalking me with the city of Ontario rather than where he's going to live or where he's going to sleep tonight. He's monitoring me and my vagina. Okay, that's also why the government is being federally prosecuted as a terrorist. This is domestic terrorism in the U.S. It is currently 2:23 p.m. This is P.O.C.
These are stalkers, and they're mentally ill stalkers. And I'm going to prosecute Wells Fargo in downtown Ontario, license 62804 Charlie 3. lying in wait at OVITT Family Community Library. They're surrounding right now with light activity. This is a threat. You're going to analyze this, and this is state action. You're going to prosecute the government for this. You're going to prosecute the people. 9 Uncle Bob Sam 872. And this is knowledge regarding documentation. And it's equally impunity when they sit there, equally idiotic while I document. Whether they run, whether they sit there, the government's being prosecuted, but they are aware that they're being documented. This is where the fake sons sit all day long. Right here on the side of this library, this is stalking with light, and it's psychotic. They're going to be committed with this conduct. When they engage in stalk with impossible light while they drive by stalking, they're going to be committed with this conduct. While they engage in threatening and gang stalking, this is the criminal act of conspiring the murder of an American citizen on behalf of the state while they're engaged in federal stalking with the department that's being disbanded, 9 U.S.C. 872. They're going to be both committed and put in federal prison behind this very pattern of conduct. This is the entity that's engaging in this at the iteration of going in the drive-thru, going in the grocery store, being at the gas station, being in a library, sitting in the parking lot, being where they reside, going where they're on the roads and the highways, stalking with light. This is why the airport is stalking. This is who the airport is stalking with. This is shared mental illness, and it's also the entity that's conspiring murder together, the demon possessed that are monitoring in that engineered environment that you see here. Shadows. I'm going to very easily prosecute the terrorists in California. They're losing custody of their kids. They are delusional to be in this environment, engaged in this conduct, and they're not keeping custody of their kids. They're being deported, and they're going to be prosecuted as terrorists. And this is teamwork. This demon's behind here, sitting at the bench, monitoring with this demon, and they don't have a meeting talking. This is state action. They're all demon possessed on the same type of satanic time. This is P.O.C. 9 U.S.C. 872 is lying in wait. This is what they're doing at 11 o'clock, 12, no matter how late I am. The demons are out here stalking with light. That's why I filled this this entire parking garage. Every single last vehicle, I document them, and I'm documenting Sarah's Regis group that's going to be prosecuted as a sex offender and as a terrorist and facilitating it. And they're making money while gang stalking is underway through this company. This is P.O.C. It's 8:30 p.m. See my shadow here, my shadow here? The entity that touches you with light is doing so with regard to sexual assault and battery. CEASELESS 622. I'm already in engineer light. I'm already being touched. And then they're engaging what is touching with light. Going to the ATM is the federal RICO case against the people of the state, Wells Fargo. 9 LCA 474. They create evidence to prosecute them. There is no getting out of this federal prosecution. It's the malicious system of the government, and everything that the government has created with regard to gang stalking someone and think you're getting away with it. It is actually the receipts to federally prosecute them in court. And they include companies, they include the population, they include the city, the government itself. This is P.O.C. It is currently 8:32 p.m. In this environment is where an unlawful threat is being communicated expressly and impliedly. And the government has no warrant or probable cause to keep you under surveillance through psychopaths who are stalking you with light. The fact that they're engaging in that with children, with their back to you, without you even knowing their name, not that it's even acceptable if you know the stalker's name, but this is what they're doing while they have kids. Gang stalking pedophiles are losing custody of their kids. They're sex offenders gang stalking with minor children. That little demon on the skateboard is creating activity. And these sex offenders are engaging in that with children. And this is state action. Downtown Ontario Luxury Apartments is being prosecuted. This is P.O.C. It is currently 8:32 p.m. This is obsession. You have gang stalking parents that are monitoring me because they're sex offenders, equally obsessed with my vagina, by the way. They're both sex offenders of monitoring me. That's the entity that's engaged in that P.O.C. It's currently 8:32 p.m. This is the city of Ontario that's being prosecuted. All that's impossible light. I go through the neighborhoods, I get their license plates, I put all their information on the internet, and they will be prosecuted. There will be no exclusion of any evidence. This is P.O.C. All right, it's still Sunday, March 8th, 2026, and it's currently 9:05 p.m. And what you will see based on the time right now, chronology, I just finished identifying a bunch of sex offenders, keeping my vagina under surveillance. And again, the entity is acting ceaselessly. So the sex offenders at Wells Fargo are sharing in the same pattern of conduct of molesting and stalking ceaselessly, including while following into the bathroom. And you are following in the specific environment. The entity is delusional with regard to what is a whole superficial means of existence while they're secretly engaging in surveillance. And that's not even a secret anymore. And they're openly monitoring my vagina. Nonetheless, a homosexual predator enters into the facility facilitating video. Stater Brothers, fully exposed, 6:40 a.m. to 4:40 p.m. That is well beyond the prima facie case regarding federal group stalking and monitoring, the RICO case, and sexual violence on behalf of the state and furtherance of murder in a bathroom. You're going to prosecute for that, and you're going to prosecute for facilitation of that. This is what is walking into the restroom and what is stalking in the path while the demonic environment is maintained in a bathroom. The deranged psychopaths that are demons working for a corrupt company that's maintaining a satanic surveillance system going by the name of Stater Brothers is what's engaged in vagina monitoring and facilitation of vagina monitoring. It's officially referred to as the perpetual sex offense. But they're literally monitoring genitalia, and so I will refer to it with regard to the graphic sexual nature and purpose of the demon-possessed who are gang stalking. And that's with regard to the government as well. The entities engaged in this pattern of conduct, and they're doing so while they're keeping the evidence of them in monitoring vagina under surveillance. And so that's with specific knowledge to engage in and participate in further harm with regard to monitoring vagina while they engage in that moment by moment. So you will see on the Google Drive right before 9:05 p.m. the identifications of the people of the state while they are stalking with the Ontario International Airport. That's going to be shut down for literally engaging in vagina monitoring. The absurdity of the criminal conduct of a airport that's engaged in this pattern of conduct, which is speaking to the threat that the mentally ill who are demon possessed pose to you. Okay, but nonetheless, the entity is engaged in what is presenting an ongoing harm. The same entity that's obsessed with my genitalia, that is stalking me in bathrooms, that is stalking me with light, that is stalking me on a 24-hour basis, is the same entity that is engaging what is systematic battery. While they are all stalking me as I sleep in an unconscious state, battering my person, putting needles in my body, and then I'm waking up with these wounds. It is causing harm, damage to me. It's making it difficult for me to travel on foot, of course. And those are damages that I am suffering while I'm still subject to this pattern of conduct. And it's not stopping because I'm in pain. It's not stopping because I'm not able to adequately sterilize my foot while I have open wounds on the bottom of my toes and the bottom of my feet. This is an entity that's engaging in what is putting foreign objects in my body, and that's what I want to document. I am able to tell based on level of hydration, if you're familiar with that. And this is a matter of evidence, so I have to, because I'm going to prosecute, so I have to be detailed. This entity is putting, like I already suspected, unknown substances into my body at night. And I know this because of the color of when I'm going to the bathroom, it's neon yellow. All right, and that's directly indicative of something in my system, and it's not vitamin C, okay? So this is an unlawful threat that's posed by, again, Tracy Banks, who's coming up like nothing has happened. She's the same entity. She knows all about it. You're not going to deal with demons that are never going to admit it. This is an entity that is sharing knowledge. There are demon-possessed people that are watching on the dark web, that are in other parts of the world, that know all about what I'm documenting. This is a demonic system. And the reality is that Tracy Banks is engaged in that ongoing threat while she is in my face today asking if I want something to eat. She's fully apprised of the needles being put in the bottom of my foot, which is also why you hear me being very frank with someone that poses an unlawful threat, doing so as a malicious family member who's engaged in what is conspiring my murder with Eric Spencer, who are both very clear, who are keeping my evidence on the internet under surveillance. They know very well that they are not welcome in my presence, nor is any stalker welcome to conspicuously surveil me. And that's exactly what they're doing also in the bathroom. That's the government. So as delusional as the entity wants to be, they continuously engage in stalking in bathrooms. There are mental facilities for people that engage in that level of stalking someone. That's exactly how you're going to be analyzed under the clear facts. You can do it today, you're going to be locked up and restrained for it tomorrow. And the entity's engaging in that level of stalking conduct. The entity's doing this while they are puncturing my body and putting foreign substances in my body. And I am seeing this while I am using the restroom. And this is indicative of something that's being put in my system that I'm not putting in my system. Okay, so I'm consuming coconut water. I'm consuming regular water and orange juice. That's it. They're putting something in my body that's causing a bright luminescence. It's as bright as lemonade, okay? And not watered down lemonade, like almost like orange juice, okay? And it's not dehydration. I'm very familiar with my body, and this is something that I already suspected, and so I'm able to observe this myself, and I want to document that because it is a basis of federal prison. Even if, for example, they're putting in, you find out, say they do a test, and they were injecting your foot overnight with vitamin C shots, hydration shots. You will still be going to federal prison for that. So I just want to, because there is no harmless means of battering someone and putting anything foreign without their knowledge and consent into their body. But that's not what the entity is doing. The entity is taking my bodily fluids. These are demons that are cannibals. They're engaging in what is monitoring my vagina, stalking in bathrooms, trying to steal any tampons and pads that they can, engaging in what is monitoring in the way that I'm showing you with the ongoing environment that's inside of the bathroom. You look like a fool coming into this bathroom, handing over the company, handing over all of your money, and handing over your liberty, because many of them will be going to prison for monitoring my vagina. But the entities engaging in this level of conduct, and they're doing it with also impunity that's relevant under federal law. Just like any other threatening stalker, and a judge would look at that evidence, and you are going to assess what is wrong with this person. This is clearly someone whose mindset is put at the center of that controversy. Well, this is the case regarding the government that's doing so through a population. And you have a population of the mentally ill, a population of exposed, uncloseted sex offenders, and a population of those who share, I mean every license plate. As I go through and I document the entity, I document every company they're sharing in what is battering my person, putting foreign objects in my body, and they're doing so in furtherance of murder, psychological torture, and the intent to harass and terrorize while they are seeking to obstruct justice, and every company will be prosecuted for it. They are sharing in the identical ceaseless pattern of conduct, and they are acting together. Just like anybody else that goes in together on a criminal conspiracy to commit a robbery together. You're going down for what your partner does. And the entity, by the way, is not ignorant of what they are doing. This is an ongoing plot that has foiled, and it has been unimaginably destroyed. And so they are watching now while they're still stalking. They are watching themselves being exposed in real time, and you are watching the mentally ill that cannot hide that anymore. They are referred to properly as the Nephilim. These are spirits that cannot cloak themselves as normal human beings, and now you can see that unadulterated mental illness. They're spirits in the first place. They're not human beings, and that's why they're obsessed with the human being's genitalia. All right, that's why they try to pose as normal human beings with a spouse, but you're stalking another woman as though you are some homosexual, a predatory means of being homosexual, but nonetheless a woman that is living a life one way, but you're actually engaged in another because you're monitoring vagina in the engineer light on behalf of a government. These are spirits, they're demons. Okay, but I want to make sure that that's clear. The entity putting foreign objects in my body, and I'm going to prosecute for that. That's an unlawful threat. Very easily being poisoned, not waking up in the morning. This is what happens to American citizens every single day. No one is talking about criminal surveillance, which has been underway in this country for decades. The P.O.C is proving it. It is no longer, never will it be a conspiracy theory. You're going to prison while you're conspiring this, and I know your name. You're going to be federally prosecuted with regard to sharing in that criminal pattern of conduct. And these are the breaks regarding gang stalking with the government. You're going down for everything that the government is engaging in. Everything. It's going on under your name. This is the P.O.C. The entity is engaging in what is putting foreign objects in my body while they're stalking in the bathroom, and I want to make sure that this is a part of the evidence. It's currently 9:14 p.m. where the entity is engaged in bathroom monitoring, where I am coming across documentation that needs to be made a part of the record because it's an unlawful threat to my life and safety. It's also psychologically harmful while you become aware of the fact that foreign substances are being put in your body, and this is typically without having this evidence that I'm maintaining. It is no less of a threat to me, though. No less of a threat. And the federal government that has been prolonging, delaying justice is waiting for me to drop dead. And even for that, I will be recovering for that. You're going to be doing prison time. How about prolonged prison time while you seek to delay justice? You're going away longer. That's what's going to be delayed. You're ever getting out. It is currently 9:14 p.m. This is P.O.C. All right, there's no coincidence here. This is the Ontario Police stalking. Doing so with the people of the state who are stalking. Those are psychopaths sitting around aiming light. Those are demons. And so are they. They're demons. This is what they were doing while I was at the Ontario City Hall, where I showed you the evidence of the fake sun setting. That's the same location where on video and in images, C. Gerber of this same agency, who was going to prison, and he's going to be subject to routine mental examinations for the mental illness shared by the demon-possessed who are engaged in what is gang stalking, the mentally ill behavior, serving for what is criminal surveillance, psychopathic in nature. C. Gerber is on video under the fake sun speaking to his malicious engagement in stalking me by wearing literally that police uniform. And this is an entity that is stalking through use of helicopters following me around from place to place, which is also proven and established in the supernatural environment where you have multiple shadows fanned out, where the demon-possessed that are stalking you with light are not aiming headlights on you. It's engineered light that are by those that are demon-possessed that are stalking you with light in that environment where they're monitoring you. And when you are monitoring, you will be prosecuted for stalking and furtherance of murder with that government that is stalking in helicopters. And this is an entity's poor efforts at trying to make a diversion from the terrorist Jason Isaac Fields. Jason Isaac Fields is the Ontario Police Department's co-defendant. He is the co-defendants of the people of the state. Jason Isaac Fields is going to prison. He is the reason why this entity is targeting. He is co-conspiring with his sex partner and wife, Tracy Banks, who arrives gang stalking with Eric Spencer, his family, because he married her while they kept a secret wedding. Eric didn't tell me about it. Tracy Banks certainly didn't tell me about it. In fact, she's lying about it on my podcast, the P.O.C. And this is an entity that has been conspiring, defaming my character with this agency who is going to be disbanded because of the malicious combination of both stalking and then defaming one's character. You do that with regard to somebody that you plan to murder. And to that end, Jason Isaac Fields, who suffers from some life-threatening disease, is responsible for the entity committing a battery where the Ontario police are stalking with the people of the state and engaging one of putting needles in my body at nightfall, monitoring me and stealing my bodily fluids because he suffers from the entity is engaged in what is, first of all, irresponsible, reckless lifestyles, suffering from things like HIV, suffering from blood disorders, and they want the targeted individual, the one that they defamed, right? The one that said that I am the one that's going around with mysterious people that I never had sex with, am infecting with HIV. This is the entity that's stalking me by helicopter, that's demon-possessed, stalking under a fake sun and a fake moon. This is the same location where they are stalking, flying in circles over me. There's no mistaking what this is, and it's relevant to Jason Isaac Fields, who's being documented on my phone right now, while they begin their documented, overly used tactic of terrorizing by helicopter while their co-defendant is being documented. Jason Fields is going to prison. Jason Fields going to prison for this entity engaging in what is battering me, putting needles in my body, putting foreign objects, substances in my body, and doing so because he suffers from some disease that is not my problem. He's going to prison, and he'll go to prison with that disease disorder. This is P.O.C. This is the entity that's providing evidence of engaging in surveillance with the people. This is what they do with the airport. The planes fly over and the demon-possessed are engaged in psychopathic pacing together. This is a cooperative criminal act, and they're doing so also with the terrorist leader, Jason Isaac Fields. This is a demon that's going to be removed from the military. He will never be in law enforcement. He's going to federal prison, and he will also be subject to what are mental examinations. You are seriously suffering from a mental disorder with regard to the level of targeting, the level of obsession regarding someone like myself who will not even speak to him if I see him in the street. I will put his face immediately on the internet. He poses an unlawful threat. This is P.O.C. I want to make sure that this is clear. This is what the entity wants to do, threaten me. Well, this is your response. Since you want to threaten, let me put all of Jason Isaac Fields' information on the internet with regard to battery, physical harms that I'm suffering because he has some sort of body, a blood disorder, whatever it is that he's been doing recklessly with his life, which does not give him consent to gang stalk me and furtherance of murder, defame my character, kidnap me with that agency, nor put needles in my body and foreign substances at night, which is what Jason Isaac Fields is doing. He's going to prison. And he's going to prison for the stalking by that Ontario Police Department. They're not too bright, as you can see. They're not too bright at all. This is P.O.C. It is currently 9:43 p.m. Ontario Police, at the same time they sound helicopter, these are demons that are engaged in ongoing, repetitious, ritualistic conduct, which is what it's going to be the basis. This evidence was going to be used to convict the police department for stalking and conspiring murder. These demons claimed that I was dead, that they didn't know where I was, that they claimed that I had a deadly disease while they were engaged in kidnapping with the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department, knew exactly where I was located while they were stalking me and keeping me under surveillance, just like they are now. They're being disbanded. They're engaged in psychopathic pacing on Holt Boulevard. That's a threat to me. I'm the one that they're stalking, and I'm the one that's not scared of these demons who are putting all of those gang members in prison. Every single last one of them. I came across them. I documented you. I got your image. Guess what? You're going to prison, and we'll see how scared of you I am when you're locked up. This is the P.O.C. That's the entity that did that. They're in sync, stalking on Holt Boulevard and stalking in the sky space. That's the entity that engages in psychological torture. They're doing so while a bunch of psychopaths are engaged in surveillance in this parking lot, monitoring on their devices in the engineered environment, and doing so with that agency that is the reason, the cause for this corruption, conspiring murder by a population.
Every single street, every license plate, every house address that I put on the internet is fair game. I will be prosecuting and identifying these terrorists, exposing them, and they will be federally prosecuted. This is P.O.C. They're gang stalking at their homes, which are facilitating venues. There's no private property. You have no private speech rights when you're gang stalking with that agency. This is the implosion of gang stalking. This is P.O.C. Just so you can see how Union Pacific is stalking with the airport. And I showed you the housing community. They are on the same side of the street that I'm on, and there's no airport over here. So this is the entity. This is psychotic. While they dip very low in the planes, engage in all manner of weird stalking conduct, doing so while they are hovering close to the ground, stalking in the path, and very highly unpersuasive feigning. It's not even acting like it's a landing because there's nothing other than houses back here. So you can see the video that I published today, and I showed you the extensive property. And then I also showed you where 2500, 2900 Terminal Road, Terminals 2 and 4 are located, and they're on the opposite side. With Airport Drive, which is off of Vineyard Avenue, and they're landing here. This is Bonita. Excuse me, this is the shopping plaza. This is a stalker that's behind me, listening, lying in wait to molest. Union Pacific is audible activity while the entity is keeping me under surveillance while I'm in motion traveling. And this is the pacing when they go in opposite directions, psychopathic. 7JCS 353. That's P.O.C. There's no airport back here. And I do document the people of the state because I'm being gang stalked as I go by all their venues. They're keeping me under surveillance where they live. And that's exactly how you be prosecuted. Literally a Google map showing all their house numbers as I'm engaged in mass exposure of terrorism in Ontario, California, in the state. All right, this is P.O.C. The entity is sounding train activity, which is amplification in the engineer light. This is the elements of monitoring. It's terrorism. And Union Pacific is going to be federally prosecuted. They're doing so while I'm in motion. The ongoing amplification, the ongoing engineer light, the ongoing stalking by the government, these are indications of surveillance. The entity's main hovering position, by the way, throughout the entirety of their flight. They're doing this at the Ontario Town Square, same elevation. They're not lowering in elevation. And they're also in this same parking lot, hovering over the top of my head at the entrance, where you're not taking off there. You're not landing there. You're stalking. And the ongoing inconsistency regarding what is under no circumstances coming from the terminals regarding a flight in progress, other than you're not doing anything other than maintaining what I've established as surveillance. This is the entity that's going to be committed with this evidence. And so are the people of the state. They're stalking together. Those vehicles are in stride with the planes that are stalking while the entity surrounds with things like train activity. They're all stalking together. They're demons that are monitoring. This is where the Ontario police are engaged in that. And this is what Jason Isaac Fields, Tracy Banks, his wife, okay, this married sex offender, married to a mother figure of mind. There is no divorce. There is no amount of money. There is no federal prosecution. Even when I get justice, I will never be speaking to this predator, okay, who was stealing my bodily fluids at night through these demons who are battering me when I'm in an unconscious state, which demons know because they're monitoring you. This is P.O.C. That ongoing unlawful threat is based on their mental illness, which is proven through the pattern of conduct, stalking. 7HZB 305. That's the state. And this is the entity that's engaged in that. It's currently, by the way, 10:18 p.m. This is the disbanding of the Ontario Police Department. The Ontario Police are sharing in the exact same pattern of conduct. They're being disbanded for it. The people of the state are going to prison as you see them engage in criminal summoning with that same agency. They're the ones engaging in what is harassment while they're being documented, having no rights whatsoever. They're psychotic, they're going to be committed, and they're going to prison. And if you dare be an immigrant, you're being deported, happily deported. This is P.O.C. It's currently 10:19 p.m. at the Ontario Village Plaza, where I documented the sun just the other day, 6:40 a.m. and 4:40 p.m. on the same day. This is called stalking with light. And in that environment where no planes are taking off and they're not engaged in a perpetual hovering state, that's stalking. While they're hovering through all the houses, every neighbor, while I walk through the neighborhood, the entity's maintaining that same conduct. They're doing so over Woodside Senior Apartments, where Tracy Banks is residing. Okay, I'm documenting the sound of plane activity in her apartment. The airport's being shut down. These are psychotic stalkers who are murderers. They are a threat, and so are the people of the state. They share in that pattern of conduct. This is P.O.C. The turn signal is light activity. So are the headlights, but the turn signal is light activity. License plate, that's an African-American male. 9 Paul Mary 487. This is P.O.C. That's the state. It's not private citizens. It's 10:20 p.m. Stalking with the Ontario International Airport.
are demons that speeding by, don't want to be documented. So I'm going to get these license plates in this parking lot. They're crossing path while the entity is the same elevation as though they're landing on Bonita Court, which is what I'm documenting at 517 Vesta Street. It's what I'm documenting at the Ontario Village Shopping Center. It's what I'm documenting at the Ontario Town Square. And I'm just giving you a visual regarding where the airport, where the terminals are located. And this is what every gang stalking company, the people of the state, these airline companies associated with the Ontario National Airport are going to be federally prosecuted for. And they're also going to be federally prosecuted while they keep the evidence about them gang stalking someone who they've conspired to murder. They keep it under surveillance, and I'm documenting the ongoing pattern of conduct. This is all going to be relevant to damages and criminal charges. License 6, Robert Bob Sam 913. And this is what is directly incriminating everyone else. While the airport is stalking through the neighborhood is stalking. While the fake sun remains over you as you are neighborhood, that supernatural occurrence, the neighborhood is stalking. License 9, Bob Cherry Edward 522. While the entity is stalking you by helicopter, especially as you begin documenting the neighborhood, that neighborhood is stalking. While the entity begins engaging in criminal summoning, while you're walking through that neighborhood, and including when you're documenting in that neighborhood is stalking. 8, Robert Zebra David 270. 9, Larry Uncle Nancy 954. They're monitoring with the demons that scattered like roaches because they don't want their license plates documented. They are the entity and everybody else is being prosecuted. And by the way, those two roaches are not getting away with anything. This is P.O.C. The Ontario International Airport is being shut down for the unlawful threat posed to society and to an American citizen that is proving that the airport is engaged in the unprecedented and psychotic method of stalking someone using the operation of an airport, using commercial planes for that purpose, for criminal purpose, and also all of that manpower, all of that money, time, resources, the demented conduct of hovering in planes while you're stalking somebody in a plane, a commercial plane at that. They're going to be federally prosecuted for that, and that's automatically going to include what are the mental health, the behavioral health concerns that are presented also to the public. These are the same companies that have plane crashes, and they want you to believe that they're accidents that need to be looked into. And they're not. The entity that is gang stalking is the entity that engages in acts of terrorism, while it is engaging in what is the practice of witchcraft. While you watch these news stories and they're telling you about plane crashes, it's an example of how the entity is engaged in what is the practice of witchcraft, causing fear, causing a spirit of paranoia. While they are intentionally engaging in that and they are monitoring you while doing so, this is what the demon possessed are practicing. The wicked are practicing this cult conduct of the government is practicing while they are intentionally engaged in acts of terrorism, such as gang stalking as well. This is P.O.C. It is currently 3:14 p.m. And this is another plane. I want to go ahead and get this. I'm going to include this in the video with no audio, but this is going to go on the podcast. All right, and this is a stalker coming through the alley. Remember, it's a demon, regardless of the fact that they're homeless. The entities engaging in this pattern of conduct, they're monitoring together. So demons don't have an economic status. This is an entity, you're looking at the frequency. This video is at 3 minutes and 39 seconds. Not only is this speaking to the entity that is stalking in planes, you're also able to recognize that because what the entity is doing with regard to the airport, the planes are not landing and taking off at that great frequency. And that's what I put on a playlist for you to recognize psychopathic pacing. In my videos, as I begin documenting, the entity will engage in more and more clearly stalking conduct, and then they'll do it with another plane and another plane and another plane. And in a 5-minute video, the entity has about 6 or 7 planes that are engaging in the same conduct, cartwheels, crossing path repeatedly. That's the mentally ill behavior. They will be convicted and committed with this same evidence. In the same way that you're stalking with impossible light, you're stalking someone and what's coming out of your mouth, what you're talking about versus what you're doing, a threat that you're posing, they're going to be committed with this evidence. All right, this is P.O.C. The entity and every airline is engaged in what is an unlawful threat, and they're doing so while they are stalking. And these are companies, multi-million-dollar companies that are threatening the life of an American citizen, whom they know very well is documenting it. And that's also going to be relevant to damages and the entity, these pilots, these companies, they will be sitting in executive positions, and they will also be subject to federal prison. You're going to be piercing the veil and going right into these companies, and you will be criminally liable. This is the entity that has some sort of fictitious idea regarding no one can touch you, and that's a lie. I will prosecute you. You will wind up in prison, and you will learn how that is very much constitutional, and it will happen. That's Impossible Light. Where the airport is stalking, so are the people. 8 Charlie Mary Charlie. 8 Charlie Mary Charlie 428. It's Impossible Light activity that was occurring over there. She's a demon. Okay? Demons don't have a race. That's a white woman that is stalking a black woman. She's also a homosexual predator. She's obsessed with my vagina. What else do we know about the gang stalkers? They're violent sex offenders, engaging in what is sexual assault and battery, molesting you with light that's not even naturally occurring. The engineer light that they're stalking with, those drivers would be blinded if the light activity that they're molesting me with were the actual headlights, and they're not. They're unintelligent demons, and I'm documenting their pattern of conduct. They will be committed while they're stalking with light. They'll be committed while they're stalking with planes. They'll be committed while they practice psychopathic pacing on video. The entity stalking with another plane while this third party is stalking by the roads and the highways with the city of Ontario, right there at the town square. And this is, again, going east, coming from the Ontario Village Shopping Center. The entity is maintaining the exact same elevation throughout the city. Okay, there's no airport behind the square. It's the Ontario City Hall. It's the Ontario Fire Department. It's Sultana. It's Stereo City. It's Cardenas. All right, the entity is engaging in the pattern of conduct of stalking, and they're doing so while the airport is south of Holt Boulevard off of Airport Road. They're not landing somewhere and then driving to the airport. They're stalking, and they're doing so in this manner. And they're doing so in the concert with the people of the state. It is currently, by the way, 10:37 p.m. What you're also mindful of is where the entity is engaged in what is cartwheels over this same sky space, which also is not any sort of landing or takeoff. That's also stalking by the entity. That also has nothing to do with what are landings and arrivals from the terminals when they're flying miles over here to this region and to this area to engage in what is cartwheels in relevant position to me, where the fake sun sits all day long. Okay, the entities also engage in this conduct when they're flying at a heightened elevation, doing so flying in multiple directions where there's one airport in Ontario, California. These are all the ways in which you're analyzing, which is absolutely mentally deranged conduct, and it is shared by the demons. They're all engaging in uniform conduct, and that is believable. That is something that you are aware. How do you know that that's a fact that's impossible? It is not impossible. This is why the population is stalking me under the fake sun. It is uniform. It's just that these demons have access to planes. So their mental illness is shown through while they engage in that pattern of conduct using commercial planes. The people of the state, their mental illness, they use whatever they have at their disposal. A lawnmower to pace all around, their vehicles to pace all around, bicycles to pace all around, even just their little stereos and speakers while they're pacing all around with any manner of noise. It's the same pattern of conduct in the same specific environment. Okay, this is P.O.C, and that's how you are literally categorizing based on what is the pattern of conduct, not categorizing because you just want to, because the pattern of conduct dictates that. This is logically what's happening, and this is logically what follows. And the pattern of conduct, the body of evidence is showing it is established. This is P.O.C. It is currently 10:39 p.m. where the entity is engaged in psychopathic pacing. This is one plane after another plane after another plane. And the mentally ill psychopath engages in more of that conduct with greater frequency. That is a more threat as you're going to analyze it as it's documented. And what's happening when I'm documenting? I'm discerning demons. The demons are hostile. They're aggressive, and they become increasingly aggressive. And that's why you have more plane activity. That's why that goes on the playlist regarding psychopathic pacing while the entities engage in this pattern of conduct. This is P.O.C. I am at the intersection of C Street and Euclid, where the entities engaged in criminal summoning by the Ontario Police Department. They're gang stalking the same. Where the entities engaged in police training right here at this corner under the fake sun at 7 in the morning. The same corner where it's setting at 6, 5 in the evening, 4 in the evening, during standard time. The same pattern of conduct. Where the people of the state are stalking with Impossible Light, while Impossible Light is all over the street and it's all over the walls and the buildings while you're walking into a sexual molestation while they're pacing all around, and it's not traffic. It's surveillance. It's the same pattern of conduct. This is P.O.C. This is the prosecution of Paul Leon of funding terrorism, which is a federal offense, and furtherance of murder. While that entity is engaging in this P.O.C., those are not headlights. You see this right here? The city is going to be federally prosecuted as a sex offender and the co-conspirator of murder with the people of the state. And as I go through the neighborhoods, you see the vehicles of these cars driving through that. I've captured that many, many, many times. and it's an impossible occurrence. That would be blinding to drivers. And that's not their brights. This is not headlights. This is the P.O.C. and it's also impunity. Mike LORENZ, he's being federally prosecuted. He's going to prison. While the entity is engaging in this, and they surmise that this is some sort of retaliation. No, it's an admission to being a gang stalker as a whole city. And that's why the whole neighborhood is being put by Google Maps, showing you all their house addresses, showing you the intersection, showing you where they're at, their license plates and their house numbers, because they're being prosecuted. That's impossible light activity. This is P.O.C. These are the demon-possessed. This is the Nephilim that have been trying to exist amongst normal, sane human beings like myself who are able to discern demons and what the demons are doing in a manner that they surmise you are unaware of, not paying attention to. And that's an unlawful threat because they take your life also when you are unsuspecting. That's a threat to the public, and it's the government that's engaging that. The government that's riddled with demons. This is P.O.C. This third party is sharing in that sexual assault and battery. So this is the license plate of the people. They're stalking with light. That's the entity that's engaged in that. And this is a sex offender. This fat-faced homosexual female, 9 Wendy Thomas Victor 076. She's a predator. They share the same pattern of conduct. This is P.O.C. It is currently 10:41 p.m. All right, what you will see documented is evidence of the demon-possessed, the typical lesbian that is a frustrated homosexual predator, sex offender, stalker, demon. These females that are cloaking themselves as normal, law-abiding, sane females who are also the least concerned about you. But it could not be farther from this truth. These are a group of demons. These are cackling demons that are gang stalking at 10:40. It's 47 p.m. And I'm taking a picture of a gang of losers who are state actors. Gang stalkers are not winners, but these are literally losers. They are going out of their way. Remember, this is the entity that keeps the fake moon over the bench where I'm at night. The fake sun where I'm waking up in the morning. So their entire universe, which is filled with fantasies regarding my vagina, is what is inspiring a bunch of demons that are of the female gender stalking at the square in order to sit where it is that they know that I'm sleeping, the same entity that's engaged in stabbing my feet with needles, and engaging what is stalking by helicopter at that bench, and engaging what is stalking with impossible light activity where I'm located. And this is the entity that's engaging in 9MLH918 is stalking with this band of cackling minions of the female gender, a bunch of hostile lesbians, and these are lesbians that are predators, okay? Not just interested in the female, but they are sex offenders that are secretly engaging in what is homosexual violence. They want to forcefully engage in sexual activity. They want to forcefully engage in what is stalking me and then having their way with me. And this is based on their criminal pattern of conduct. They're engaging in this conduct while the entity is hostile, and the pettiness of homosexual predators that are engaging in stalking in the middle of the night are sitting at the bench where they know that I'm resting, where they know that I sleep, where the entire center of the superficial universe of the demon possessed centers around me. So that's what's sitting. You could see the hefty one with her stumpy leg across the bench. They're having the best time of their life while they're gang stalking me, and this is the most attention that they will ever get in their life. All right, and it's not even attention; it's a prosecution. But again, the entity that is suicidal, the entity that is pointless in their existence, your whole existence is to stalk somebody else. There is no more of a concession regarding the worthlessness of your existence. Why are you breathing? Right? This is an entity that's engaging in that level of an emission while they are gang stalking as a whole population. You're seeing that while a whole government, a whole airport, okay, is engaging in, just as an example, a whole city is stalking me, a whole entire city with their kids, with their so-called significant others. They're not significant others. I'm the significant one. Okay, and that's not a compliment. It's because they're psychotic. Okay, the entities engaging in that P.O.C, and that's what's sitting on the benches, a bunch of gay females who are hostile demons, violent sex offenders, who would engage in what is sexually, well, they are engaged in sexual assault and battery, but these are predators. These are homosexual females that want to force their way with me, and they're hostile because they're being documented as the sex offenders that they are, gang stalking with the city of Ontario, sitting at the bench because they don't have anything to do right now or in life
And that's the reality regarding the demon-possessed, who I also thoroughly document, such as license 04273 Larry 1. Gang stalking with the demons that are engaged in that's a method of harassment while the entities engage in that. This is the entity that sits at the town square, wherever it is that I'm typically situated. It's not the fact that I'm writing my name on a bench. I don't own any of this property, and I don't want any of this raggedy property. The entity is stalking. I'm showing you the intent behind it, and that's the government that's doing so. Stalking in the path, and you don't have any warrant or probable cause. And while you use a homosexual predator that's obsessed with me and is also hateful of me because I'm exposing that and I'm aware of it, I'm prosecuting you. All right. This is where the entity is stalking as an airport. Those are a bunch of cackling, hostile, aggressive homosexuals that are engaging in what is a method of a very petty method of harassment. While, again, with your pettiness, you're being met with a federal prosecution for terrorism. These are the demon-possessed that never had a strategy for getting caught for murdering people. Okay, they targeted me, and I'm the one that's prosecuting them. License 9TGP845 shares an ongoing harassment by the group of hostile homosexuals that are gang stalking me at the Ontario Town Square at nightfall. They're doing so in the specific environment. That is speaking to what is detailed knowledge. Specific targeting is proven there. It is currently where the airport is stalking is at 10:51 p.m. at the Ontario Town Square. This is P.O.C. It's criminal summoning. Ontario Town Square, 224 North Euclid Avenue. That's the city of Ontario at 10:52 p.m. This is exactly what they're doing at Fern Avenue and C Street as well. While the group of homosexual lesbians, these hostile homosexuals, that's Ontario Police, by the way. While this group of hostile homosexuals, gang stalking with a corrupt police department full of demons, are engaging in what are stalking me with them. This is how the Ontario Police are engaging in what is harassment. That's called vicarious criminal activity. And the entities engaging in criminal summoning together. This is Sarah's Regis Group, Downtown Ontario Luxury Apartments at 320 North Euclid Avenue, the 280 North Lemon Apartments, the John Stewart property, the Metro 102 Apartments, the Mule Car Smokehouse. You have the El Bacon balcony, some sort of restaurant, and the entities engaging, this is just with regard to my immediate vicinity, and the people of the state that are gang stalking, including being on the grounds of the Ontario Town Square. All right, the entity that's engaging in surveillance, because I am literally where their fake sun rises and sets, it does so on me. And because you don't have a police department in Ontario, you are engaged in surveillance in that manner. This is the criminal use of sirens. This is the murder that LAPD committed of the skateboarder. It's not the existence of an emergency such that they don't know where you're at. It is literally the ongoing indication regarding surveillance that is underway. It's audible activity and light activity where they are engaged in relevant positioning. And this is speaking to and exposing LAPD, the same entity that's gang stalking, and they committed murder pursuant to this pattern of conduct. Surveillance is underway. And not only that, they're monitoring spirits, and they knew exactly where that young man on the skateboard was. And the criminal activity by the Ontario Police Department is informing what the LAPD committed, by the way. And the LAPD is disingenuous. They're not investigating anything. They committed murder, and that statement regarding an investigation is disingenuous. This is P.O.C. It's currently 10:53 p.m. and the Ontario Police are engaging in criminal summoning with the demons who are vicariously harassing on behalf of that department that is being disbanded because they're more obsessed with my vagina, and they're not engaged in law enforcement. They have no immunity. They will be getting no due process with regard to protections. They're going to be prosecuted as terrorists, and my evidence shows that they are engaged in, totally stripped of what are engaging in what is a protection, being engaged in the execution of duties of officers. No, not in the specific environment you're not in. They're being federally prosecuted as terrorists. And that is speaking to you're being removed, you're being plucked out, you're permanently removed as a terrorist from law enforcement ever anywhere else in the U.S. And you also aren't getting a dime. You're not getting a dime when you are fired. And you're being publicly fired now. They're still engaging in exercising fictitious authority, but they're already fired. They've been fired for a long time, and that's going to be reflected in the prosecution. P.O.C. It's currently 10:54 p.m. Alrighty, this is P.O.C. The entity is engaged in criminal summoning and stalking, following from the Stater Brothers. That's what this is. In the specific environment, there is no mistaking. The entity that's following within environment, they're stalking with sirens, engaged in criminal surveillance, doing so while this is uploading on the internet. The Ontario Police are being disbanded for conspiring my murder and keeping me under surveillance. And this is what they pull out every time I start uploading evidence. Oh, you know very well who I am, and you know what I'm doing on my device, but you don't have any warrant. You don't have any probable cause. There's no pending case on me. you've been lying regarding what's your interest in me and what you've been doing. Things like stating that I am a criminal in violation of the municipal code, and that's why you're in my presence, when you're really engaging in what is stalking, exhibiting severe mental illness in doing so. Now, this is what this ongoing cackle of demons are engaging in on behalf of this agency right here. This agency that sounds sirens. These cowards turn the sirens off the moment that I start recording this video right now. These demons are being committed. These right here, they're stalking on behalf of the Ontario Police at the location where the entity is keeping me under surveillance overnight. So this overweight, hefty demon right here has her legs spread out, stumpy, engaging what is stalking and having the time of their life while they're harassing on behalf of this agency that's stalking me because they're hostile as I document them. And while I'm uploading the podcast, okay? This Mike LORENZ is going to prison. Let me show you his face. Not my face. Let me show you his face, because Mike LORENZ is going to be federally prosecuted for the pattern of conduct that's underway by the sex offenders who are the Ontario Police Department, engaging in what is the criminal pattern of conduct. This is psychopathic pacing. What they're engaging in right now, this is mentally ill behavior. This is what you're looking at right here while they are stalking, monitoring on my devices what is also being accomplished. But this is the entity that's engaging in psychopathic pacing with regard to stalking me on an ongoing basis, monitoring on my device while they're creating light activity, doing so in relevant position to me in that engineered environment where the entity does things like keep a fake sun, a fake moon, and engineer like multiple shadows everywhere. This is the entity that's engaged in real-time federal stalking in violation of Title 18, Section 2261A, subsections 1 and 2. Pay attention to where they're flying. This is what they were doing just moments ago at Stater Brothers, and they followed me to 224 North Euclid Avenue. This is where the airport was stalking, and I'm documenting the entity through the neighborhood while they're also engaged in criminal summoning. This is informing the murder that the same entity, LAPD, committed regarding the skateboarder in the middle of the street. The Los Angeles Police Department are disingenuous, and they are lying while they're engaging in what is executing the entity that is engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring. In other words, the LAPD killed the people of the state on the skateboard because that was a third party. Okay, but nonetheless, the government's engaged in stalking. They're engaged in the use of sirens with regard to audible activity while they're engaged in this level of surveillance, and they're doing so while I'm publishing the evidence of the podcast, okay? This is P.O.C. It is currently 11:08 p.m. This is the entity that's engaged in this, and I want to be clear. Jason Fields is going to prison. Mike LORENZ is being federally prosecuted for the pattern of conduct underway by this department. This ongoing impunity is informing federal damages and what is necessary as a matter of law, disbanding this agency that's not engaged in law enforcement. They have no immunity under the law. They are not engaged in the execution of the duties of officers. They will be going to federal prison upon prosecution as domestic terrorists, because that's exactly what this is. This is gang violence, and this is the same agency that engaged in what is asserting malicious assertions. Why C. Gerber knows my name, is engaged in gang stalking me under the fake sun right here at this OVITT Family Community Library, where this agency is gang stalking me through the OVITT Family Community Library and engaging in what are excluding me from that venue, a discriminatory basis with the intent to obstruct justice, discrimination on its face, and it's federal group stalking and monitoring in substance. Sean Thrasher's going to prison, in other words. That's what that means, okay? This is the entity that's engaged in that pattern of conduct, and the entity is engaged in what is vagina monitoring. Not only are they engaged in monitoring surveillance in the bathroom, but on March 2nd, 2026, which the OVITT Family Community Library referred to with regard to what was brought to their attention, what's brought to their attention is that I'm prosecuting them as vagina monitors at Stater Brothers on March 2nd, 2026. What's been brought to their attention is that the entity is being federally prosecuted regarding a shared pattern of conduct by multiple cities targeting at the city libraries, like the city of Ontario is. What's been brought to their attention is that demons like Sean Thrasher are going to federal prison, especially while this evidence is going to be played against him in court regarding the pattern of conduct underway inside of that OVITT Family Community Library in that specific environment in concert with this agency that is stalking me day and night. This is P.O.C. This is federal stalking regarding surveillance on my device. The pattern of conduct, as I've shown, as I publish the evidence, the entity is stalking me by helicopter. As I engage in documenting the people of the state, the entity is stalking me by helicopter. As I refer to its co-defendants, the entity is stalking me by helicopter and Allied Universal. They're not engaged in security. They're engaged in criminal surveillance. And their boss, the CEO, Steve, I'm going to federally prosecute him. His demon-possessed gang-stalking employees, this company is targeting me in concert with that police department in furtherance of murder and psychological torture, and they're doing so on an ongoing aggressive basis while they keep the evidence of me capturing them under surveillance, okay? That's P.O.C. It is currently, by the way, 11:11 p.m., and this is the entity that's engaging in what is surveillance of evidence that's being published in real time. It's relevant to unlawful surveillance on my device, unlawful surveillance in this environment. And it's pursuant to what is knowledge about what it is as I'm doing it. And that is directly rebutting the entity like the OVITT Family Community Library, claiming that they learned about documentation on my YouTube channel, which is no legitimate interest of that entity. It's an admission that they're engaged in surveillance. And those liars, those poor liars that are gang stalking by the idiots that expose them, are going to federal prison. Okay? The entity is engaged in what is ongoing damages, which I'm documenting on an ongoing basis, while the entity is excluding me from the OVITT Family Community Library and creating an undue hardship, which is a threat to my life, while the publishing of the evidence is crucial with regard to protecting myself regarding those stalkers as of 2022. That's the whole purpose. You're going to prison for that. Sean Thrasher is going to federal prison. Okay, this is P.O.C. This is relevant to real-time surveillance. And the Ontario Police Department, the Ontario Fire Department, the American Medical Response, those are the demons that are stalking me throughout the city, sounding sirens with every move that I make, everything that I document, and everything that I publish on the internet, where the people of the state are engaging in what is gang stalking, like this band of hostile homosexuals who sit at the bench that are stalking and harassing on behalf of that agency. Psychopaths that engage in like nothing is happening while they're looking, while they're stalking in the path and the entity's targeting you by helicopter. This same evidence is going to have them committed. Okay, that's the P.O.C. It is currently 11:12 p.m. This is the entity that is monitoring this very evidence. This is what I showed when I'm publishing evidence onto X. And the Ontario Police Department are gang stalking me at ARCO, 434 North Euclid Avenue, flying in circles, prolonged circles, psychopathic pacing in the engineered environment. And then they ended that video with Tracy Banks and the Ontario Police engaging in criminal summoning together. Remember that? Tracy Banks that showed up today engaging in the pattern of conduct under the fake sun that remained right here while I am there until after sunset. This is the entity that is, excuse me, you can't see what I'm pointing at. The fake sun that remained right here, which is adjacent to the library. This is the entity that is fully prosecuted already. This is an entity that is engaging in psychotic and delusional and deranged conduct now in front of all of you who now know what Tracy Banks and Jason Fields and Eric Spencer and everybody else that was defaming my character when I wasn't saying anything, while I was kidnapped, while they were trying to control a narrative, while departments like the Ontario Police and San Bernardino County Sheriff and the San Bernardino County Behavioral Health, who I have no relationship with, Arrowhead Regional Medical Center, this government that's stalking sought to create, manufacture, engineer a relationship with me on paper while they sought to steal my identity, steal my money, property, my inheritance, steal what is my good character while they've been engaged in conspiring my murder because Tracy Banks wants to be me. She could never be me. Even when she was my age, she could not be me. But this is what the Ontario Police are acting in furtherance of: murder. That's what's behind flying in circles over me, doing so at Stater Brothers. And I literally, I could not pay. I mean, this is just bombshell evidence as I go from place to place, okay? This is no small thing. These are petty losers. These are vagina monitors, homosexual predators, but they're engaging in harassment with the Ontario Police. Okay, this is P.O.C. And I want to be clear, the entities engage in surveillance through them while they're stalking at the bench. They're engaged in sexual assault and battery through them. I took the image of these unattractive stalkers that are stalking a woman. These are covert, closeted homosexuals who are lusting after my vagina while they're gang stalking me with the police department. That's not a police department, okay? Because they are going by that phrase, that's exactly why they're going to prison. They wear police uniforms to get away with stalking. And this is why the entity is keeping my evidence under surveillance. This is indeed the Ontario Town Square. The Ontario Town Square is where the Ontario International Airport is also stalking. This is the entity that is engaged in this, and this is the prosecution of Paul Leon. He shall be federally prosecuted as, like I've stated, and like you see, you will be, and you are reasonably responsible for the terrorism underway by every department in the city of Ontario. And you are in a position of leadership. You're a part of that same community. He's a demon. He's also a fake pastor, gang stalking off of Euclid Avenue with regard to a fake church. This is and I'm just giving ongoing relevant context. He's going to be prosecuted as a terrorist leader and as one that is engaging in what is funding, facilitating terrorism in the city of Ontario. P.O.C. It is currently 11:15 p.m.